What is up, guys? Good morning. It is Saturday. It is college football Saturday here, week 9. Today, I want to do some rest of the season schedule predictions. I've been debating on doing this video for a couple of weeks now, but I feel like right now is a good time since since we only have about 4 to 5 weeks left in the regular season, which is hard to believe how fast the season has went by so far. But as you see, Texas A&M, my record prediction for Texas A&M is 12-0. I have them beating Texas, Missouri, obviously Stanford they'll beat, and then the game today against LSU, I have them winning all of those games. I have them going to the SEC championship game and losing to Alabama, but I am just doing regular season record predictions, so not like SEC title game. Just the 12-game prediction here. How they're going 12-0, I have them losing to Alabama in a close one in the SEC championship game. And I have them at 12-1, probably in the 5 or 6 spot in the college football playoffs. Do think they run through the rest of the schedule and probably are a surefire number 5 in the college football, number 5 seed, possibly number 4 seed in the college football playoffs. Next, I have my Alabama record prediction. I did decide to switch it up here. We're just going to do the, conference game, stuff if I think that team is going to make the conference championship. I do think Alabama makes the SEC championship game. I have them going 12-1. The only loss to Florida State, obviously that was early in the season, already happened. Some witchcraft from Florida State, considering how good this Alabama team is. I'm taking Alabama to go 12-1. I do think the only game that concerns me that they have left is that Oklahoma game. After Oklahoma, it should be smooth sailing. Auburn on the road, kind of a concern, but I wouldn't expect them to drop that one at all. I think they rolled a win in that one. Give me Alabama 12-1. I do think they win the SEC championship over Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. I think Alabama goes 12-1 and wins the SEC title. And I do think, forgot to add this on, I do think that they will probably be like a 2 or 3 seed in the college football playoffs when it gets here. Probably will be number 2. I would guess behind the Big Ten team. Next up, we have Ohio State. I do think this team goes undefeated and goes 13-0. I think they win that Big Ten title. Obviously, not much of a challenge for Ohio State. Outside of that Michigan game, the final game of the season for the Buckeyes, I think they'll roll through Penn State. I think they'll roll through Purdue, UCLA. UCLA might be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll see how UCLA looks today against Indiana. But I do think Ohio State does go 13-0. I do think they face Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. And I think Ohio State wins that one in a close one over Indiana. May even go down to like a, game-winning field goal attempt for Ohio State. I think that one will be really close. Do think that one will probably be a defensive game. But I do have Ohio State going 13-0, winning the Big Ten championship, and will probably get that number 1 spot in the college football playoff rankings. The final ones of the season when it gets here. But yeah, I have Ohio State 13-0 winning the Big Ten title. Next up, we have Oklahoma. I have Oklahoma going 9-3. I think it's a brutal schedule. You have Ole Miss, LSU. Even though I don't think this LSU team is all that good, still a tough ranked matchup. Then obviously the Ole Miss game today. I am gonna take Ole Miss to win that one today. But yeah, that loss to Texas was brutal because they have a brutal schedule ahead. Obviously, they still have Alabama ahead. I have them losing that game also. So I think their losses out of the schedule are probably Alabama and Ole Miss, if I had to guess. If they do beat Ole Miss today, then I think their only loss will be Alabama, and they'll go 10-2. But I think they do go 9-3. I think they lose to Bama and Ole Miss. I think Oklahoma goes 9-3, possibly could sneak into the playoffs. I just don't think that's possible. I think they're one of the first teams out of the playoffs, and I have them finishing at 9-3. Just a brutal schedule for Oklahoma. Next up, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Tech game, really, Georgia Tech and Texas is my only concerns on Georgia's schedule. I think they'll handle the rest of their games against Charlotte, Mississippi State, Florida. I think they'll handle those games. I think they do beat Texas by a score. I think it's a close one versus Texas. And I think it's a close one against Georgia Tech, but I think they pull those both out. I think they go 11-1. The only reason why they will not make the SEC championship game is because of the loss to Alabama. That is the only reason. Alabama with the tiebreaker, Alabama would be 11-1 in my schedule predictions. They both would be 11-1. Bama would obviously, with the head-to-head, make the SEC title game. So I have Georgia at 11-1. Georgia at 11-1, probably the 7 spot. I would put Georgia at the 7 spot if they were to go 11-1, which I do think they do. I think Georgia would be put at 7. And yeah, so I would have Georgia at 7. I think they go 11-1. Miss the SEC championship game because of the Alabama loss. Next up, we have Indiana. I believe they go 12-1 with a Big Ten championship game appearance. I believe they'll face off with Ohio State, like I said, with the Ohio State one. I believe it will be Ohio State, Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. Battle of 12-0. I'm going to take Ohio State. Obviously, I'm going to give Ohio State slight edge in that one over Indiana. I think they beat Indiana by, 3 or 7. Something like that. I think Indiana goes 12-1. Big Ten runner-up. And Indiana would probably get either the 5 or 6 spot. I'm going to guess the 6 spot. I'd say they get number 6. So they'll probably be ranked 6 if I could predict. So yeah, I have Indiana 12-1. Think they get ranked number 6. They should be able to handle everyone else on their schedule. Don't really think any team really causes them problems. Obviously, Penn State and UCLA are like their toughest opponents out of the rest of their schedule, so they'll have no problem dealing with those teams, and I have Indiana going 12-1. Next up, we have the Miami Hurricanes. Miami coming off the loss versus Louisville. Rest of their schedule is pretty easy, other than SMU. And you may be wondering why I have them at 2 losses, but still winning the ACC championship. That is because I do believe they lose to SMU next week in their next game. I think SMU is an underrated team. I think SMU is very underrated, in my opinion. Obviously, the 2 losses that they have, but SMU is a year removed from, being in the college football playoffs and, being like 11-2. SMU is a very solid team. They still have like some of their pieces from last year's team, and that is why I think they upset Miami. Other than that, I do think it is smooth sailing for the Hurricanes. And really, with 2 ACC losses, I know it is hard to make a conference championship game, but again, Miami is just like, there's no one else in the ACC that's really that, like, at nearly as good as Miami, in my opinion. I could be missing out on an ACC team, but I just don't think that conference is very good at all. I think Miami wins that conference easily. I think they go 11-2 and win the ACC championship. They'll probably be seeded around probably like 3 or 4. So yeah, I think probably a 4 spot for Miami, 11-2 ACC champions. Next up, we have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech, a big surprise. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, Georgia Tech, big surprise this season. I do believe they will start 10-0. I do believe they go 10-0. I do have them at 10-3 because I do think they drop the game before Georgia to Pittsburgh. I just think it's kind of a look-ahead week for them. Pittsburgh has been somewhat competitive in the ACC. I think it's kind of a slip-up game for them, and I do think they slip up in that one. And obviously, Georgia, I have them taking the loss. I do think it is a close loss to Georgia. I think it's like a 7-point loss, something like that. And then I think they make the ACC championship game. I think they face Miami in that game. And as you guys know, I have Miami winning that game. I expect it to be really close. Probably goes down to the final minutes in that game. But I do think Miami is able to pull it out. And now Georgia Tech 10-3 ACC runner-up. I do believe Georgia Tech does sneak in the playoffs at number 11. I think Georgia Tech will get in at number 11 in the playoffs and go 10-3 and be the ACC runner-up. Next up, we have Vandy. For Vanderbilt, I have them going 10-2. I think the only game they do lose is the Texas game. I think they do lose to Texas. The only real other concern outside of Texas is obviously today against Missouri and then the last game of the season against Tennessee. I think Vanderbilt wins both of those games against Missouri and Tennessee in close games. I think Vanderbilt goes 10-2. I think Vandy probably gets the number 8 spot. So I'm going to say Vandy gets number 8 in the college football playoffs. I think they finish number 8 in the college football playoff rankings. They make the playoffs, and they go 10-2. Next up, we have the Michigan Wolverines. I believe they go 9-3. I believe their only other loss this season will be to Ohio State in Ann Arbor. I just think Ohio State will get the better of them this year. If you think this, guy, if any college football fan thinks that the past 4 years of Ohio State, Michigan matters in a new year, in a new season, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I have seen so many people say that, like, oh yeah, Michigan to beat Ohio State because, they beat them the past 4 years in a row. It's a new year. It's a new season. I think Ohio State finally breaks the streak, gets the W versus the Wolverines. I think Michigan goes 9. Obviously, the losses to Oklahoma, USC, and Ohio State. To be honest, was not expecting them to lose to USC. I'm going to be honest. I really thought this Michigan team would go 10-2 preseason. Also, I did think Ohio State would go 11-1 preseason too. That was kind of dumb, but yeah, I have Michigan at 9-3, losing 3 games. Obviously, will probably be one of the first teams out of the playoffs. Think they missed the playoffs. I do think they do get like a good bowl game. But we'll have to see when that comes. But yeah, I have Michigan at 9-3. Next up, we have Texas Tech. I do believe this Texas Tech team does go 10-2. I believe their only other loss this season will be to BYU. The reason I have them making the Big 12 championship game and winning it, other than otherwise it would, be like you're thinking like Cincinnati, BYU. Cincinnati has Utah and BYU left on their schedule. I think they lose both those games. I think Cincinnati takes 2 conference losses. Maybe I think Cincinnati honestly takes 3 conference losses this year. I don't think Cincinnati's all that great. I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think they're all that great. I do believe Cincinnati's bound to slip up in one game they're supposed to win. So give me Texas Tech to make the Big 12 championship game. I do believe they win it over BYU to get revenge on BYU for what I think will be a BYU win over Texas Tech this season. I think Texas Tech faces them in the Big 12 title game, gets revenge. I think Texas Tech 11-2 Big 12 champions. Probably will be number 3. Yeah, I'm going to say number 3 in the rankings. So yeah, I think Texas Tech number 3 in the rankings, 11-2, winning the Big 12 championship. Alright, and for the final record prediction, we're going to do BYU. The Cougars are currently 7-0. I do believe they finished the season out 12-0. Obviously Cincinnati and Texas Tech probably their biggest games that they have remaining. I do think they win those games. That they go 12-0, and then the Big 12 championship game, I'd have them dropping that game to Texas Tech in a close one. Like you said, for Texas Tech, I think they get revenge on BYU here in the Big 12 championship game later on here in the season. I do think BYU 12-1 Big 12 runner-ups probably get the number, I don't know, I would say the number 7 spot. I believe Georgia, I take back my statement on Georgia being number 7. I believe Georgia will probably be like number 8 or number 9, and the BYU gets the number 7 spot as a Big 12 runner-up at 12-1. Alright, and that'll do it for my record predictions, conference championship predictions for the rest of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe means a lot. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave this, chances to make the college football playoff. I thought it was appropriate for this video. Probably will make this the thumbnail here as I'm editing. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and yeah, peace out.